Welcome back to another episode of the Slice Tennis Podcast. This is the first episode during Wimbledon 2025, and day one was insane. So we have a ton to talk to you guys to talk about with you guys today. This podcast is presented by Betway, as you see in the top right corner of the screen. We're going to talk about the best bet of the day. We're going to talk about me and Steven's weeks. We're going to talk about the Eala hour because she's on a little hot streak. She has a tough first round matchup, but hopefully she can keep it rolling. We'll talk through all of the upsets that happened on day one. And then we also got to get into the community curfew tradition might be undermining the greatness of Wimbledon. It is one of the best parts, but it's also becoming a double-edged sword. And then, of course, if you want to be featured on the Slice podcast, you know what you have to do. Maybe you don't know what you have to do, though, but I'm going to tell you. You got to leave a comment because every single episode, at the end of the episode, Steven and I will read all the comments because we got to show love to those who are showing love to us. So yes. Without further ado, Steven, what's going on with the week, man? It's a great week. It's been a great week.
It's a great week. It's Canada Day tomorrow, which has me feeling patriotic. And I feel like, summer has technically started, but it's been, they call it January up here. Not been super hot. It's been, any day it's sunny where I live is very nice. But we're like one block from the ocean. And yeah, it's like sunny, but it's still like 20 degrees, which for us isn't like, there's that ocean breeze. I'd always want to be wearing a sweater. There's almost like, it's very mild here in Victoria for all of Canada in relation, but you essentially want to wear a sweater 10 months of the year here, which
I wouldn't be able to survive. I couldn't survive.
Yeah, no, I know you like to wear like the t-shirt, the shorts, the same shoes at all times, which we love.
That shoe game, it makes everything easy, man. You try to make your life as simple as possible so you can get the greatest outcomes.
That's right.
I don't need to worry about the small things for me.
You're very productive in that, and that's probably part of the reason why. But yeah, other than that, what else happened? I don't think we've just been chilling. I've been enjoying life. Got a golf lesson, kind of got a driver fitting and got a golf lesson. And the guy at the thing essentially showed me that it wasn't all my fault. Like it was actually the club's fault.
Good salesman.
Too old of a club, too soft of a shaft. I swing it, to the lower end of like where the pros swing it as far as like the driver speed. And the face was staying open, so that made me feel good. So we're going to make progress in the golf game, and yeah, nothing else to really complain about this week. Just been enjoying life.
There's a new TV show on Apple TV that Owen Wilson is in, and he's a former pro golfer that was a legend, but he had a crazy meltdown at TPC Sawgrass or something.
Yeah.
And so now it's all about he's the guy that's down in the dumps. He sees some kid that has a lot of talent that has similar backstory to him with his father and everything. And the opening scene, he's in the golf shop because he's a golf pro and he's dealing with this customer who's looking for some new clubs. And
yeah,
Owen Wilson kind of turns around to grab. He's like, he goes to grab the driver and he takes his hand away. He's like, a lot of people really aren't ready for this driver. Like, let me start you a little bit lower. And then the dude to me is like, wait. Oh, let me see the driver. Let me just give it a try. Like, I've been struggling with my driver actually. And I think the club and all I'm picturing when you're telling me this story is, dang, Steven is this guy. And Owen Wilson, he makes the sale of the driver, goes back to his guy. He's like, hey, can I get an advance on this check I just got?
Yeah. That's good. He was definitely trying to sell me a new driver, and I mean that new driver would help. It's the technology out there is crazy. Like the same swing, it just goes 20 yards further and spins less, but yeah, that's can't do it right now. Maybe after.
I love it. Yeah.
How was your week?
You're not Canada Day tomorrow, but we do have 4th of July coming up, which I would say has to be the equivalent of Canada Day. And so I'll be going back down to the beach with Sitton's family. It will be a blast. I actually just got TikTok Shop. They love me. They always come up on my algorithm. They always show me the funniest little things for like less than $10, and they know that I'm a sucker for them all. Last week I got the Frozone glasses. This week I got this mini revolver water gun that apparently just shoots water bullets. Allegedly, TikTok Shop, you never know what you're going to get, but I'm excited to get out there and use that on the nieces and nephews. Try to become the most fun, most dangerous uncle out there.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. I'm also very excited because whenever we go down to the beach, as I've mentioned on the show before, my mother-in-law, former pro tennis player, she has played at Wimbledon, so she has Wimbledon on all week down at the beach. And watching Wimbledon at the beach is a different kind of nice.
That's
so I'm excited about that.
Does she have any like retro Wimbledon merch from back when she played?
Dude, Sitton has one sweatshirt that I love, and it's like an old school Wimbledon one. And then she has a few other women's, like women's attire that unfortunately your boy can't rock right now. But I am looking, because retro tennis gear has to be some of the coolest gear out there across all sports.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna get on my game. I'm gonna reach out to her, see if she can tap into her network. You might see your boy fitted a little bit differently the next time we hop on here.
We're gonna elevate. We're gonna update and elevate. Like even the white at Wimbledon is, you think it's boring because it's just white, but then you realize no one ever wears white top and white bottom in real life. So I saw the video of Frances Tiafoe putting on that new Lululemon outfit, and it was like just fresh. And you're like, it's just a white shirt and white shorts, but so clean, especially with the white shoes and white socks.
Wimbledon and Michael Rubin's party, the only places that the all white is acceptable.
Yeah, so it's fresh, man. You're right. The retro tennis gear is the freshest. The
freshest place to do some of if you're into Wimbledon, if you're into gambling responsibly, one of the best places to do it is Betway. And every single week we bring you the best bet of the day. And I know I'm biased, but I really feel like Steven gives out some very good picks. Obviously, nothing is guaranteed, but if you want to gamble responsibly, you need to at least hear us out on the best bet of the day. And you can hit an ace with Betway and get up to $200 if your first bet loses, plus 50 bonus spins no matter the result. Scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in the details section to create an account and redeem your offer. Offer is only available for new customers. Terms and conditions always apply. And this offer is not available in Ontario, and you must be 19 and up. Please play responsibly. Steven, we going with a Wimbledon bet?
Well, yeah, now I am, because I just saw this. This is crazy. So I have been on a cold streak. I won't lie. So obviously, I've missed. I just looked at my picks on the Betway app. Lost the last 6 in a row. After I did call Bernard Tomic to beat someone, and I love that pick. But I'm looking at tomorrow at Wimbledon on the men's, and I just came across David Goffin versus Rinky Hijikata. Mm-hmm. And they got Goffin, who's a veteran,
right?
I think amazing on grass.
The wall.
The wall. They got him as the underdog at plus 130, which I've seen Rinky maybe he's amazing on grass. I've just never really been super impressed by him. He's just a small guy. He was a good player, doesn't have a lot of pace though. And David Goffin, I like that at plus 130 as the underdog to get a win there. A little bit of a plus money play. I think that's a no-brainer. So we'll see if David Goffin can get me out of the doghouse with taking these L's.
David Goffin, I love it. And we'll kind of segue. Could still sort of be best bet of the day, but I'm curious, Steven, can you see the odds on Alex Eala's first round match? Because she's going to be an underdog, and it might be worth looking into.
Yeah, that's a great point. Good. Just give me a second here, because that's going to come. Oh, there we go. Yeah, Alex Eala versus Barbora Krejcikova. They actually got it pretty much dead even. Krejcikova at minus 106, Eala at minus 118. So actually, I guess, is that Eala's the favorite there?
Oh yeah, she is minus 118 over. Yeah. Dang. Wow. So maybe the value is on Barbora,
but I don't want to get in the bad books with the Filipinos. I think they might be a superstitious bunch like I am. So I don't know how I want to do that, but that's a great segue into our Alex Eala hour, where we've talked about her form last week and how good she's feeling on the grass. Now she comes in here versus a former Wimbledon champion and is the favorite in their matchup, according to Betway.
I know. And I'm trying to pull up the draw right now. Who would be the second round matchup for her?
Let's pull it up. Because we love to get ahead of ourselves. That's like everyone in tennis loves to get ahead of themselves, because that's just part of the sport. Like, what else are you going to speculate on? But yeah, if she was to beat Krejcikova, she would play an unseeded player, either Dolhide or Roos. And then I believe she would play like Navarro in the third round potentially.
Fair draw.
For sure. So this is kind of what Alex Eala has been waiting for. You're going to, as an unseeded player, you just have total, you could play anyone in the first round. So she's going to have to beat Barbara Krejcikova, but that's what I feel like she's been waiting for, is a major that she can go win like 1 or 2 or 3 rounds. Because that really, her ranking's already jumped up 18 places since her finals run at Eastbourne, which I guess we never updated from that. She did make it to the finals of Eastbourne, lost in the final in a 3-set match, I believe. And that was a great result for her. Like, goes from losing, matches in a row to playing futures events to playing kind of challengers, and then to coming to Eastbourne in Britain and making it to the final, losing in a 3rd-set tiebreaker 12-10. So super close.
Huge.
But yeah, her game seems to be in great form.
Great form. I think that's solid for the Alex Eala hour.
For sure.
And should we get into the many headlines of Wimbledon day one? I don't know if we want to start. I'm kind of like, in my head, I think the Medvedev losing round 1 to me is the biggest upset, the biggest shock. I know he hasn't been playing well, but I don't know. What do you think? What did that one stand out to you the most in round 1?
Yeah, I think so, for sure. Because you're right. He hasn't had a great year, but he did make he made the final of Halle, where he lost to Bublik, his friend. But he also lost early in the Libema Open on grass in the quarterfinal there, but he won 1 match, lost to Opelka. Lost in the first round at the French Open to Nori, if you remember that. Just hasn't had great results. He actually had better results on the clay leading up to the French, and then lost the first round of the Miami Open. But his last good result really in a bigger tournament was Indian Wells. He made the semifinals. So, and then if you're just looking back to the Australian Open, he lost in the second round to Leonard Tien. So the major season so far for Daniil Medvedev has been brutal, to say the least. Second round Australian Open, first round French Open, first round Wimbledon exit. So for the guy, last year, if I'm not mistaken, he beat Sinner in the, I believe, quarterfinals. So that, going from that to losing in the first round is painful. As Medvedev gets older and his body probably becomes less predictable and his serve becomes less predictable, therefore, grass is one of the surfaces where I would feel like he has the ability to beat a lot of the big guys because of his serve, and he can clearly play good on it because he's literally just beat Sinner at Wimbledon last year. So yeah, it's a bit of a head scratcher for Daniil, but everyone's career has to decline at some point, and you're wondering if this is that point. Kind of. I think the last great win he's had would have been that Wimbledon win in the quarterfinal last year over Sinner.
Seems like we'll learn a lot about maybe what the rest of his career might look like based off this hard court season coming up. If he shows up, he's a hard court specialist, self-proclaimed.
Yeah.
So if he can have big hard court season, we've seen them go through these slumps. A couple weeks ago, we were talking about Felix when we were mentioning how months ago it was panic button time for him. Then he starts getting in form. Maybe Medvedev. Hopefully we don't have to hit the panic button on him and he has a good hard court swing.
Yeah. And then it's just you don't think, because for him, he won the U.S. Open, and then it was when, he probably should have won the Australian Open over Rafa. And then he was searching, in his head, and I think everyone's head, he's not going for the all-time records or anything like this, but he wants to win as many majors as possible. And now does the expectation have to change? Is he still chasing majors? Obviously he would be, I think, but is that realistic? Even last year at the quarterfinals, he faces Sinner in the U.S. Open and lost in 4 sets, but fairly handily. And if they play again at the U.S. Open or the Australian Open, his 2 best surfaces, are you taking Medvedev in that matchup anymore? I'm not. So, he can still beat a lot of players on a hard court, but it also seems like a lot of players can beat him on Leonard Tien in Australia he did just have a kid then. So like as a father, like I know now, like
right.
you have some sleepless nights and that can mess with you. And it's not like they just have like a nanny that is taking the kids to a different place. I don't think usually. So there's lots going on, but that's a three major sample size where he's lost a lot earlier than he would like to. So we'll have to wait and see.
Another guy in the Medvedev era that I would say same age range that also dropped out first round, Berrettini. Tough to see him. He's another seeded guy. Battled tons of injuries over the last few years. You felt like maybe he's kind of getting back into the swing of things, and then to exit first round, it just seems like that whole era of player, the window is kind of closing on them, and to see them all exit first round, it kind of sucks. I don't know if you saw anything from that match or if you just have any opinions on Berrettini.
Yeah, like that era, you're probably talking about Medvedev, Berrettini, Tsitsipas, and we'll get to Tsitsipas. Right. But Berrettini, I still think he's on the comeback to form after all of his injuries. And he had just snuck in as a seeded player here. I believe the 32nd seed.
Yeah.
But that's that's going to be disappointing for him because he's a previous Wimbledon finalist, right? So he's got an extremely high ceiling on the grass. This was a tournament he would have liked to get through the first round. But it's grass is, and even for him, like a big server, that can go both ways, right? Like, and a lot of the guys can serve big, and on grass, it's harder to break everyone. And then once you get to those tiebreakers, it really is just a toss up. Like you just don't know, what's going to go on at that, or what's going to happen at that, stage of the match. And it seems to not, like, I think the better, really at the high end, the better player is going to typically win those tiebreakers, but not always, right? Like it's Fognini, for example, won a tiebreaker over Alcaraz today. So it's really can go. That's if you can't get breaks here, you can't really control your future. And that was a 5-set match, but it was only 3 hours, which is interesting. Tough one for Berrettini out in the first round. He would hate that. And then I guess. Did you see any of that match or anything, or did you have any thoughts?
I wasn't able to watch the Berrettini one. I was just kind of saw scrolling through. Wasn't too sure what happened with him.
Yeah. And then Tsitsipas, like this is where the speculation birds come out. Just like they have been for a long time with him, but he withdraws with a back injury, which has been he's had back problems for a while now. And I saw, an article come out today, I think in Clay magazine, saying where it was a quote that they probably extrapolated a bit from what he said. If he's like, if I can't get my back right, like, I don't know what the future holds. And that's a legit thing. Like, he's not very old, obviously, but we saw Dominic Thiem hanging up, which is still disturbing. So he's got to get his body right. He's got the new coach, Goran Ivanisevic. So I still think that's a very positive thing, and that will have him trending in the right direction because he's just too good not to be in the discussion at these big tournaments. But I think it's clear from the result there. I mean, they played 2 sets, 6-3, 6-2 in an hour and 17 minutes. That's pretty quick. And he obviously probably wasn't right, and that's why he retired. But tough to see him go down as well. But that's just another one of the guys who has lost early. Day one, Medvedev, Tsitsipas, Rune, Berrettini. Haven't talked about Rune yet, but that's another one.
Yeah, we can get into that one. That one was, like we were saying off camera, or if you guys are following us on Instagram, hopefully you guys are following us on Instagram. We've got a clip out there on the 3 most least surprising things that have been going on during Wimbledon.
Yeah.
The Rune loss. Yes, it's a first round loss. Yes, he is a very high seed. He's the 8 seed, right?
Yeah.
And he goes down to Jerry, who is ranked like 137 in the world right now, but we all know about Nicholas Jerry.
Yeah.
He's career world high of, I believe, 17. Big player, big serve, completely capable of hanging with anybody on tour. Yeah. And when you draw him first round, I'm sure Rune is thinking in his head, man, this is obviously he's a fighter. He wants the competition, but that's one of the last names you want to see in the first round of Wimbledon. And ultimately, Jerry put it on him. It was a 5-setter, but I feel for Rune too.
Yeah, Jerry wheeled him in. He's 6-4, 6-4 for Rune, and he's probably thinking, sweet, I'm rolling through this first round, then 7-5, 6-3, 6-4. So yeah, Nicholas Jerry, I was just looking at on his Wikipedia. I love like the whole chart of all the results at majors. That's been my, you know what I'm talking about? When you have like the different results. I used to look at that for Federer, Djokovic, Nadal. It's like www, like all these greens. Nicholas Jerry's never made a quarterfinal at a major. That's interesting. He's lost in the last 6 first rounds at majors, going back to Australian Open 2024. But in 2023, it's not even that good of results, really. It's second round Australian, 4th round French, 3rd round Wimbledon, US Open 3rd round. So, I mean, that's decent. He's always been very inconsistent, but he's got the serve and the body and the game for grass. So I feel like he's, upset alert big time. When I saw that matchup, Rune versus Jerry, I went, that's tough. That could easily go Jerry's way. And it ended up doing so. But yeah, so that's, I think, out of all the majors we see, the most upsets at Wimbledon. I think that's fairly consistent every year. At the French Open, we saw a bunch of losses from up 2 sets to love, which I think there was like 8 or 9 by the quarterfinal time, because I was defending our guy Felix Auger-Aliassime, saying it's actually pretty common. Rune was one of these at Wimbledon today, up 2 sets and loses. So it is common. It happens to the really good players. And the big news for that is Rune was in Alcaraz's quarter. So Alcaraz not only didn't lose today, because that would have really hurt his Wimbledon chances, he won't have to play a top 8 seed in the quarterfinals. The first top 8 seed he'll play would be the semifinals. And that might not even happen if Fritz loses in the 5th set versus Mpeshi Perricard. We'll get to that in a second. But Alcaraz on the grass, JP, like, were you, as you were following that match, were you ever worried that he was actually going to lose, or did it was never in doubt?
Weirdly, no. And you just watch the whole thing. You see Fognini playing some amazing points. He had that one point where he completely turned back the clock and had Alcaraz running everywhere.
That was crazy.
And then what was his winner on it? Was it?
It was just like a volley at the net, but I think Alcaraz they both came to the net like once or twice, and there's a lob, and there's amazing gets from Alcaraz, and I just tweeted out like, that's video game tennis.
Video game tennis from a 38, 39-year-old. So good that even after the match, Alcaraz even posts in his Instagram caption, 38 with the like mind-blowing emoji. So, but dude, it's something about Alcaraz when you see him, if he ever goes 2 sets down, it's like, okay, if I want to make some responsible money, I'm probably going to go ahead and bet on Alcaraz, because there's no way he loses. And it was just another one of those matches you figure, okay, it's super hot out there in Wimbledon. It's actually record-setting heat for day one of Wimbledon, which you would not think would fare well for a older guy like Fognini, and it would help Alcaraz, who hasn't been partying. He's been out there winning tournaments pre-Wimbledon. But it also kind of makes me wonder, as I watch Fritz go to 5, Alcaraz go to 5, Felix go to 5. All these guys were making runs or winning tournaments leading up to Wimbledon. Mm-hmm. And it's like, in the heat, are you better off winning those tournaments beforehand and playing more tennis? Or are you better off getting there earlier and having more time to kind of, like recoup, regenerate, instead of just going tournament into tournament? But not surprised Alcaraz won it, as crazy as it is.
Right. And just looking at that part of the draw for now, because Alcaraz he was my favorite pre-tournament. He's got a potential, like, if Fritz loses tomorrow and Zverev loses tomorrow, those are like, I mean, and Zverev's 1 set all with Rindernet, so I expect Zverev to win. But I think Alcaraz had the best draw out of the biggest contenders anyways. But, there's a chance that he could just have like a crazy draw walk to the final. Not, there's never easy rounds, but in reality for Alcaraz, like, I really think he's only losing to like the top guys, or someone like Fognini, who was the top guy and still has that in him. And on the grass, you can just slap balls and it'll hit winners. And So that part of like the whole bottom half of the draw is kind of in flux on day one. Two of the big matches haven't finished, that being Fritz and Zverev. But, Berrettini was on the bottom lost. Rune was on the bottom lost. Tsitsipas was on the bottom lost. So Alcaraz is, he had a tough one today. I'm sure physically that's like, I'm not worried about that affecting him physically for the rest of the tournament. He's like got the most sauce out of anyone, and he's just such a crazy athlete that and really the level of confidence is Djokovic-esque. Like it's because I felt the same thing when people went up 2-0 to love on Djokovic, and I was just like, I don't believe anything until you see that third set go down, because the second they win that third set, it's 2-1. It's like your whole lead is gone. Like I always think about that. Go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say they never have that look of panic or pleading on their face, where if you watch, say, like Fritz in his match, you can see the obvious frustration, the not like a why me attitude, but Alcaraz does not have that. It's sort of every single point could be the most epic point of the match, and he's ready for it to be the most epic point of the match. Whereas the players in that next level below him, I don't think they feel that way in those types of situations.
Oh no, I'm sure panic is setting in, and with the Fritz match, that is very understandable because, as you pointed out before, he's actually been playing an amazing match. Barely any, I believe, through 4 sets, he had only 11 unforced errors, and to me, that is shocking to watch because like he's a guy that can definitely spray the ball. But 53 winners, 11 unforced errors after 4 sets versus Giovanni and Pesci Pericard. You're playing that well, and you're down 2-0 to love, and you got to be sick.
Sickening. And obviously Pericard is a weapon, but this whole season he's won one match, and you're like, so this is the day this guy decides he wants to play some real tennis and do something serious on the court, and it's against me at Wimbledon in the first round.
Exactly. That you're thinking of that Medvedev quote. He's like, oh, why doesn't this guy play like this every day? He could be rich, have girls, live a nice life, but he only wants to play this good against me in round 1 at Wimbledon.
I would be sickening, man. Pericard is another one of those guys that if you're Taylor Fritz, you see the draw, you're just like, dude, come on, man. Like this, I feel like it probably felt personal. He's like, you know what? Pericard's been sandbagging all year because he knew he would play me in Wimbledon first round, and I'm going to play the match of my life and still be down 2-0. And then we're going to have to deal with a curfew right when I get momentum.
Yeah, exactly. And like he's out there setting Wimbledon records, hardest serves ever hit. I think he reached 153 miles per hour today. That's what I heard on the TV at least.
Yeah.
So and you knew that. Like I'm pretty sure. And then so everything was working against Fritz today. So I hope he can pull this out just for the story of his like confidence of like everything was against him, and he handled himself very well. He was not making errors. Pesci Pericard had 70 plus winners, I think 50 plus unforced errors as well. You're like, how many points are in the match? 74 winners, 53 unforced errors, and then it's indoors. So the roof was closed. So that helps in Pesci Pericard because there's no sun, there's no wind. You can just tee off serves at you. And then, like you said, Fritz wins 2 sets, brings it back to 2 sets all. And then they're like, community curfew comes in. We're going to start fresh. Give Giovanni time to get those last 2 sets out of his head, come back ready to serve some bombs. So you just got to be sick if you're Fritz. But what do you think about that community curfew? Because it's, I'll just bring it up. Like John Wertheim had a great quote or tweet today. He said, one imagines the conversation at ESPN going something like this. This is great theater. An American ranked number 5. The French kid is serving 153 miles per hour, 5 sets, late afternoon, leading into the prime time in the U.S. Boss, it's suspended. Why? Rain? Nope. There's a roof and lights, but it's the village curfew. Now? No. In like 45 minutes. And then the boss just goes, remind me, how much are we paying for these rights? And we can't. And then it's like the whole story there, fictional story is like, ESPN must also be sick, being like, this was going to put tennis in the prime time of the U.S. viewer after they're all done work. and we can't even keep this amazing 5-set match going because of this archaic rule in the Wimbledon Village.
Because you mean to tell me these tennis players are at all these other tournaments playing until 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 2:45 a.m. Then you get to Wimbledon and 10:30 p.m. hits, and it's like, hey guys, it's getting a little late. Out of respect for everybody around Wimbledon, we're gonna have to shut you guys down. We'll restart tomorrow. Thank you kindly.
Yeah.
No, man, I'm not playing that game. I don't care how long this rule has been around. The rule needs to change because there is such thing as a dumb rule and there is such thing as a bad tradition. And this is one of them. It's not fair to the players. It's not fair to the fans. It's not fair to the TV rights owners. It's not fair to anybody. So we got to fix this.
No one likes it. And I have a really hard time believing that if you live in Wimbledon Village, you're like, yeah, I got to go to bed. So sorry. I'm thankful everyone went home. You should either be at the tennis, enjoying it, or you should be realizing that you live in the middle of one of the biggest cities in the world. There's going to be lots of noise, and you can just figure that out. And there would be because this is like classic community, like NIMBY, not in my backyard mentality of like, there's a rule. I'm sure there's some legal obligation between the All England Lawn Tennis Club and the community that they're in, the village they're in. I would love to see that, to break that down and just be like, what's the cost? What are you going to do if we break that? Oh, you're going to sue us? I'm sure we're going to make more money by having the TV go longer. Right. And also, I think Wimbledon can, afford some pretty good lawyers on their own side. So, like, I don't understand. I think they're just, the Wimbledon almost bats 1,000 when it comes to tradition. But, and I was trying to think, do they do anything wrong? I think this is one of the things they do wrong.
Right. I know. And it's the way I wish it could go down. Say you want to keep the tradition, at least keep it as alive as possible, but still give the players some say. Just give me a public coin flip. Whoever wins the coin flip of the players gets to choose, hey, we're going to keep going. But they could also choose, hey, okay, we're going to stop here. We're going to respect the rule, because that way then people can start picking sides. They can say, hey, oh, this dude's a punk. He wants to cop out because he's down 2-0 and he needs a break. Or they start cheering harder for somebody else. Like, man, this dude wants to grind it out. I want to support them. I would love to see a coin flip somehow, some way.
Yeah, that'd be hilarious. I'm sure there's like a logistical element to it, because probably a lot of people take this. I'm trying to think, like, probably a lot of people take the train to the Wimbledon, and they like have all these people that are leaving at 1 a.m. But that's the same as anywhere else. And yeah, it's like the people in Queens, New York, they don't get the right to just like shut down the U.S. Open.
Right.
They don't care about other people.
We want to talk about logistical elements. Tell me how those guys aren't the first people playing tomorrow morning.
Yeah, they're not. They're not, and they're second on court one, I believe, after Sinner and Nardi, 2 Italians. But yeah, I think Taylor Fritz was pretty upset because he had the momentum, and there was. I think the crazy thing is they stopped with 45 minutes left. Taylor Fritz is like, hey, I got the momentum. If we just start this set, what if I just get 2 breaks and the set's over in half an hour, which could easily happen.
Right.
So they didn't even let them try to play the 5th set, which. Like Giovanni and Pesci Pericard, which I get. Like, if I'm him, I want to have it go the next day. He'd be like, I think there's.
I'd be out there yawning.
The decision gets made. He's like,
so late out here, man. We gotta get out of here.
Yeah, that's crazy. So yeah, Taylor Fritz gets railroaded by the Wimbledon Village curfew rules that I think JP and I both agree are not helpful, and is probably it's keeping it's very tennis. It's keeping that, we can't seem to find the prime time zone for everyone to watch around the globe, and we just can't help ourselves by removing these archaic rules.
Dude, and when you look at this, the last thing I'll say on it, because my guy who you got to meet in Miami for a second, Shintaro, he comes through qualifying draw, wins 3 matches, he gets main draw, he loses his first 2 sets. Then he wins the next 2 sets, and then he gets knocked with the curfew as well. And it's like, man, for somebody like that difference in winning that first match and losing that first match is huge. It's if you win, you get hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah. And for somebody like him who's ranked, probably 120, whatever it is, your ranking goes up. You get all of these different things, and now because of this curfew, who knows what happens tomorrow? And who knows the next time you'll make main draw?
Yeah. No, exactly.
Hurt the little guy.
Hurts the little guy. Tough for everyone. It's I think a lot of people just end up accepting it because it is the rules, and Wimbledon is pretty awesome. But yeah, that'll be interesting to see how tomorrow plays out. But I'm just stoked we're in Wimbledon now.
Yeah,
we have all this stuff going on. What else do we have on our list, JP, or is it just YouTube commenters?
Just YouTube commenters, but I gotta give quick rundown because there's been some crazy things happening on the women's side as well.
Yes,
we got Anisimova, double bagel, playing amazing.
Yes,
we've got probably one of the least surprising things we could have added in that clip. Ostapenko loses first round.
I saw that. I did see that.
Paula Badosa, she loses first round.
Saw that.
I'm trying to see. There was one other. There's one that another people are going to be Marketa, and then we got somebody gave me a hard time in the comments before we get to the comments. How do you say her last name, Steven?
Who?
Marketa Vondrousova.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I think I'm probably saying it wrong too. Vondrousova. I always thought it was, but
yeah, she won first round.
Okay,
and on Wimbledon's website, when you're looking at it in the top right, it says for every lower seed that wins, it puts upset.
Right.
And so that was an upset. Her beating Kessler. Kessler was a 32 seed. I know everybody on Vondrousova's side of the bracket is not happy seeing her there. She might make another run.
She might go crazy. She might act out. And yeah, the fact that she won Wimbledon is crazy. She plays Emma Raducanu next in the second round, who won over Zhu, another British player. So that's good for the Brits. So that's a great second round matchup. Raducanu versus Vondrousova. You got to think that'll be center court. That'll be big time box office there. And who else? Yeah, we didn't talk. Did we talk about Carson Branstein, the Canadian?
We have not talked about her yet.
Star playing Sabalenka. So Sabalenka wins in straight sets, but I was wondering, and I put a little bit of a tip out there on the Betway feed that it might go 3 sets. I would like Branstein to win a set there, and it got close, 7-5 in the second. But she's a great player for Canada. She's got kind of like star power. I feel like she likes to talk the talk. Like she's like engaging, interesting personality. We'll have her on the show soon, I believe. But that was good start for Sabalenka there. She's through a tough player. And yeah, the top half. So that was the top half in action today for the women, bottom half in action today for the men. But yeah, so much action.
So much action. Another guy real quick to keep an eye on, Jensen Brooksby. Just won a title, just won his first round match up against Griekspoor in another upset in straights. Wow. He's in form, and he is, I've said it so many times, he's another guy you don't want to see on the other side of you in the draw.
Yeah, he just, I don't know why, I can't see his results here, but what was his last result? He was just playing.
He won Mallorca, right? Or
did he win Mallorca? Yeah, he lost in the final to of Eastbourne to Fritz.
Yeah, that's right.
So Fritz has got the joke because he's the Eastbourne merchant. I think he won that title 4 times. It's hilarious. I love that joke. You're a merchant,
right?
So yeah, Brooksby had a good result there, made the final, and then wins today. You do not want to see him in your draw. Another good guy, shout out to Felix Auger-Aliassime, made it through in 5 sets, down 2-1. He came back. So what are the haters going to say then? So he was down. He was up 1 set to 0 and then lost 2. And then he came back and won. So card goes both ways. That was definitely a match he should have won, and he did. So that's got to feel good. Gabe Diallo got the dyed hair and had a headband on today, looking fresh as. Crushed 3 sets over Altmaier, who's a good player, who beat him recently, I think. Gabriel Diallo in as, I believe, just a main draw player without a wild card or qualifying for the first time, just crushes. So he's through to the second round, no problem. So big for our guy.
Good deal. Great first day, man. We can only pray that we get this much action every day of Wimbledon. I feel like we will. I feel very confident in that.
I think so.
And then we can go ahead and hit these YouTube comments if you're ready for them. We've only got 3 this week. So guys, if you're listening, we need more than 3. We love these 3 people that commented.
Yeah.
But we would like to see, minimum 10. We're not asking for much, but 10 would be appreciated.
Yes, I agree. You got the first one there?
I got the first one, or I had the first one.
I got the first one here. I can do it. Brenda at Brenda Johnson 5525 says Carlos is dangerous, so it's okay to be dangerous talking about him. Sinner's weakness, and then she went smiley face and then went like this. Sinner's weakness is facing an opponent with variety who's not afraid to get off of the baseline where he is strongest. Bublik showed us what happens when you mix it up. Great point, Brenda. I think that is completely right. If you want to get into a ball bashing contest with Jannik Sinner from the baseline, good luck. I don't even think Carlos Alcaraz wants to do that. So he comes off the baseline, he mixes it up. And those guys seem to have the most success. Those are the 2 guys, like we said in the last thing. Who are the 2 guys who have essentially beat Sinner since the last Wimbledon?
Yeah, since August.
Since the National Bank Open, I think, in Montreal. Yeah. Bublik and Alcaraz. Pretty short list.
Boom. Next comment comes from our day 1 Geo Air Travel. WTA players often find themselves in spicy confrontations. Without being judgmental, I find them much more uptight than ATP players.
I love it.
I
He's
agree.
calling it like he sees it.
Calling it like he sees it. I think it's probably pretty true. There seems to be a lot more attitudes going on at the net. Not to say there's not plenty on the men's side as well, but what I also know that a lot of mainstream media, ESPN people were sick about was seeing Sabalenka and Coco Gauff put up their TikToks together, because the world, they wanted to convince us so much that they hated each other and that it was potentially even a race thing. Then they bless us with first a TikTok that Sabalenka posts, then a TikTok that Coco posts, then a behind the scenes of what the WTA posts of that TikTok. Safe to say they squashed the beef. There was never beef to begin with. It's called being competitive. If you don't understand it, look it up. If you look it up and you can't read it, I don't know what to do for you. But I promise you, these 2 like each other, and you don't need to be trying to force these narratives of fake enemies. And I'm looking at you, the media.
Yeah, like if you can't read what being competitive is, go look up Sabalenka. It's heartbreaking to lose a final like that, her second major final in a row like that. So yeah, she goes down, and she, again, English is a second language. Her comment afterwards saying that's the worst final or match I've ever played. It doesn't that 2 things can be true at the same time. Coco could have won that match and deserved it, and Sabalenka could have played one of her worst matches and could have lost the match at the same time. So it wasn't the highest quality women's final, but it was a bit of a dirt fight, and Coco came out on top. But I love that you brought that up. They're obviously cool, squash the beef, but the emotions run high in the matches, and I love to see a salty handshake at the net, and I do think it happens more on the WTA, which is not a problem.
Not a problem.
Right on. Last comment. Dulcina Hong says, Stephen and JP, I love you guys and love hearing your take on tennis. However, your pronunciation of some of the players' names, like Vondrousova, is hard to hear. I raised this because the mispronunciation has happened to other names too. And then she has the shocked emoji, which I think has got to be one of the least shocking things ever, that 2 guys like JP and I are going to be mispronouncing names from around the world.
I mean, I need to address one thing with this comment first. Dulcie, however we say it, maybe I'll refer to you as Miss Hong.
Don't mispronounce it.
I know I'm mispronouncing the username, but she said, I love you guys, and she loves hearing our takes on tennis. And for that, we love you too. We appreciate this constructive criticism. And I promise you, this is a true story. When I saw we were going to be talking about Vondrousova, however you want to say her name, I looked it up, I wrote it down, and I listened to her say it on the WTA website, and I still messed it up. These Eastern European names are hard, and I know I can do better, but I promise you it's not for lack of effort.
Bro, this is a great thing. I tried to look up Camille Majchrzak. His name is spelled Majchrzak. Like,
I mean,
so I don't know if can you hear this?
oh yeah, I can hear it. Oh no, I can't hear your computer.
Okay, anyways, Majchrzak. He said it's Camille Majchrzak, and I'm like, I just never would have guessed that. It's beautiful though. But yeah, I don't know if holding us to the standard of like always pronouncing these names perfectly is going to be realistic. Like we should try. We'll strive.
Right.
But I mean,
Yeah.
look at us. Like
it's on us to get it done. But yeah, I'm from South Carolina, where my mother-in-law is probably the most famous tennis player to come out of South Carolina, and she was, she credit to her, she's top 60 in the world, but that was a little bit of time ago. So we don't have a lot of tennis. Emma Navarro, she's from South Carolina. I take that back.
All you have to say is he's from the South. He doesn't pronounce anything right. So how can you pronounce him?
When I see these Eastern European names, the last names truly look like it's what I imagine having dyslexia would be like. When I see the last names, I'm like, man, I stand no chance of pronouncing this word.
Yeah, it's some of the people in tennis's biggest challenge. It's our battle to face. It's our 5-setter.
And we will come out on top if you just give us more time. Because like I said before, we are trying. We're not trying to disrespect. We do take it serious, but it's hard. At the end of the day, it's hard.
It's just hard. It's hard. It's also hard to win rounds at Wimbledon. So that's what players are going to continue to be trying to do. Day 2 goes tomorrow. I think this podcast will actually be out before day 2 starts. So that's good. We're getting it out quick because we're all over the Wimbledon coverage here at the Slice. You can see our articles on theslicetennis.com. We got Jacob Pacheco now writing for us on the website. He's a beast on the Twitter as well. So if you're a Canadian tennis fan or just any tennis fan, follow Jacob Pacheco because he's got things out there before I even see them happen. Obviously follow Steven and JP, myself and JP for daily updates. And yeah, I can't wait to pour a cup of coffee in the morning and get back into watching all the mayhem at Wimbledon. Do you have any final party thoughts, JP?
Final thoughts. Everybody tune in to all the videos that are being posted on the Slice. Steven's doing his breakdowns. He did the pre-tournament breakdown. There's going to be more videos to come during the tournament. Also keep up with the ATP Tours accounts. They've been posting some hilarious videos that the conversation is out. If they're AI, if they're not, I don't care how cool it is or how fake it may look. I will always stand on the side that it's real.
Yes.
So just to let y'all know, I will be commenting on those on my Twitter, and I will always be on the side of this is real, regardless of how fake it may look or come across. Other than that, I got nothing else other than subscribe.
You see that Dennis ball spinning?
I seen him do it in person. It's real, I promise.
You'll never know.
You'll never
know. That's the Slice Tennis Podcast presented by Betway. Shout out to all you guys for watching. Leave your thoughts below. Shout out to JP for bringing it as always. And we will see you guys halfway through Wimbledon for another update.
Let's go. See y'all.